In tonight's headlines, political conspiracies. President stresses that the dreams of conspirators will never be realized.
First at 9. This is Derana 24/7.
Also making headlines, garbage disposal. Court order holds garbage dumping in Muthurajavela. War crimes allegations. New army commander says Sri Lanka army never contributed to war crimes. Ambassador's plea. Sri Lankan ambassador to Qatar wants to quit. Requests to be appointed a governor. Making headlines in international news tonight, North Korean missile test. US officials confirmed that North Korea in fact tested an intercontinental ballistic missile. Good evening. This is your primetime news at 9 and I'm Indivari Amwath. We begin with news at home. President Maithripala Sirisena stresses that no opportunities will be left for parties who conspire to come back into power. The president made these remarks at a function held at the Temple Trees today to donate houses for the relatives of deceased and disabled war heroes.
We know of some who claim that they protected the country. Today they level various allegations, saying the country is being divided and prominence for Buddhism will be lost via the new constitution. At the same time, they also engage in political conspiracies. They try to disturb the reconciliation process. We clearly say to them that their dream will never be realized. We know there are several accusations against the government. Had we not come into power, the international community would have definitely brought sanctions against us. I can reveal how politicians who were in power exploited the masses, looted the public resources in billions and trillions. They also employed the security personnel on some severe crimes. Media today depict the country in chaos. Media attack the government daily. We have to remind them that it is the new government which created an environment to criticize the government. Media freedom was our policy and vision. I would say our country is not in chaos. No one will be allowed to create unnecessary issues.
Newly appointed Army Commander Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake states that the Army did not in any way contribute towards war crimes. He expressed these views to media after assuming office today.
Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake was appointed as the 22nd Army Commander of the Sri Lanka Army yesterday by President Maithripala Sirisena. The appointment comes following the promotion of his predecessor, General Krishanta De Silva, being promoted as the Chief of the Defence Staff.
පස්සල වෙඩි තියන්න උරුවර්ධන විකිරීට අනදුන්නේ එයාගේ අවශ්‍යතාවය ගමන නෙමෙයි ඒක. එයාට පවරපු රාජකාරියක්. ඒතකොට ඒක ඔබතුමා දකින්න කොයි ආකාරයකද? උදේ ඉඳන් අවශ්‍යයෙන් අපි කරන්නේ අනුග වැඩක්.
We are doing someone else's work. The one who gave the order has given the wrong one or has misused power. I think the officer or the person who passed the order should be responsible.
මේ වෙනකොට යුද අපරාධ චෝදනා දිගින් දිගටම එල්ල වෙනවනේ හමුදාවට. මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මොන වගේ මැදිහත් වීමක්ද බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ ඉදිරියේදී?
There is a suspicion about whether they are talking about what they have heard or seen. As an officer who was in the battlefield, I know that the army officers did not engage in such activities. If there is an accusation, we will support the investigations.
ඉඩම් ආපසු ලබා දීම සම්බන්ධව ඔහුගේ කාලේ විශාල ආందోලනයක් ඇති වුණා. විපක්ෂය කියනවා තුරේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාවට හානිදායක ලෙස දෙනවා කියලා. නමුත් ඔබතුමාලා ඒ දවස්වල කිව්වා මේ අපි දෙන්නේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාවට හානියක් නොවන පරිදි දෙන්න කියලා. විග්නේශ්වර මහත්මයා ඇවිල්ලා හමුදා උතුරෙන් එලවන්න යන දිනේ ළඟයි කියලා කියනවා.
දැන් අපි දන්නවා භූමියේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ කියලා.
We know what is happening. There is no threat to the national security in releasing rest of the land, except for nerve centers and essential camps. These decisions should be taken by people who are versed on the subject. Chief Minister Vigneshwaran expresses his political views. As an army, we did not and will not act on this since there is no need. Politics are irrelevant to the army.
Responding to questions raised by media, the Lieutenant General explained the reasons for living abroad for several years from 2010.
I was never a political victim. I consider myself as a victim of circumstances.
A petition filed by the Sri Lanka Medical Council challenging the appeal court decision to allow graduates of the South Asian Institute of Technology and Medicine to register with the Sri Lanka Medical Council was taken up before a 3-member bench at the Supreme Court today.
The petition filed citing the impact on the country's medical profession urged to allow the Government Medical Officers Association to testify before court. The council representing CITEM, however, objected the move. Thereafter, the Supreme Court postponed the hearing and informed the council, appearing on behalf of GMOA, that the matter will be taken up tomorrow.
As my health deteriorates, all I have to say is that the resolve against commercializing medical education in this country by various parties is strengthening day by day.
Meanwhile, the Satyagraha campaign in Fort, calling for the abolishment of CITEM, organised by the Medical Faculty Students Parents Association, concluded today after 7 days. Meanwhile, convener of the Inter-University Students' Federation, Lahiru Weerasekara, and 5 others were further remanded till July 19th. Lahiru Weerasekara was arrested over a protest staged by IUSF on the 21st of last month in Colombo, which caused heavy damages to the Ministry of Health.
And with the future of CITEM in the balance, 3 protest marches and a rally against CITEM was staged by the Inter-University Students' Federation today, leading to heavy traffic congestion in the city of Colombo.
3 protest marches commenced from Kirulapana, Kalubovila and Vijayarama. The protest march, which commenced at junctions of Kirulapana and Vijayarama, made their way towards Nugegoda across High Level Road. Meanwhile, the march, which began from Kalubovila, made its way towards Nugegoda via Kohuwala. University students, representatives of political parties and civil organizations, trade union members and artists were seen showing their support. Thereafter, the 3 protest marches converged at the Ananda Samarakona Outdoor Stadium this afternoon and staged their main rally.
What we are witnessing now is the effect of our battle. The secretary to the president had to resign. Do not forget that we have given the government the chance to decide who is up next. If we have a government that does not want to listen to the people, then we wish to say that the time for the government to go home will not be far away. We must abolish CITEM. I wish to announce that we will render our unwavering support to carry out this movement till the very end.
The Supreme Court issued an injunction order today prohibiting the Colombo Municipal Council from disposing garbage in Bopitia in Mutharajavela. According to the other Derana court correspondent, the injunction order is in effect until the 20th of this month.
Measures were taken to dump garbage collected in Colombo in Ratana Bopitia in Mutharajavela on the 28th of June. The residents in the area who opposed the decision filed a petition against disposal of garbage in the area, which is a protected zone. The petition was taken up before a judge bench, including Chief Justice Priyasad Depp and Justice Upaliya Beratna.
Be it Colombo or outside Colombo, court has suspended dumping garbage in Mutharajavela. Government officials have agreed to stop dumping garbage in the area we requested. We hope they will keep the promise.
In the meantime, the tense situation prevailing in the Mutharajavela area during the recent days receded following the court order. The garbage dumping site in Muthurajawala was closed, prohibiting anyone entering it, and the backhoes seen at the site were also taken away.
People have got a positive response. The trust people placed in the judiciary have been realised.
In the meantime, the residents in Dompe engaged in a protest against dumping garbage at the Kirindawala Maligawatta Waste Management Project Centre today as well.
If they try to make our children sick by dumping garbage in the area, we will never allow it.
In such a backdrop where people are opposing dumping garbage, garbage could be seen along roadside in many areas in Colombo yesterday as well.
They don't take away garbage. The truck doesn't come. We can't breathe. We get cough. It affects businesses because they don't like coming here. Most people get sick and diseases spread.
Meanwhile, Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faiza Mustafa expressed his views on the matter.
There are issues in garbage collection. We don't deploy police or tri-forces in garbage collection by any means. They are only expected to provide reports of the garbage collection process.
Meanwhile, in Parliament today, the garbage crisis was taken up for debate.
හැම ගයක් ඉස්සරහම දැන් කුණු බෑග් තියෙන. පාලන මැතිවරණය පවත්වලා මේ පළාත් පාලන ආයතන ඇති වෙන තාක් කල් හරි අඩුම ගානේ දින දෙක තුනකට සැරයක් හරි ගෙන යන්න නියෝග කරන්න. දැනටම අපි ක්‍රියාමාර්ග අරගෙන තිබෙනවා.
We have taken some measures already. Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika, is given the responsibility of collecting garbage. Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Faiza, is given the duty of taking care of collecting garbage in areas under provincial councils.
මට වගකීමෙම කියන්න පුළුවන් අපේ ගෙදර ඇතුළුව පහුගිය දවස් 10කින් කුණු ගෙනියන්න ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. මම දැක්ක චම්පිකරණ කැමතිවරයා කියලා තියෙන එතුමාට කුණු ගෙන යාම පිළිබඳ කිසිම වගකීමක් නැහැ කියලා පුවත්පතක මම දැක්කා. ඒ වගේම අපි පළාත් පාලන ඇමතුමාගේ හැකියාව පිළිබඳව මේ සභාව අපි දැකලා තියෙනවා. එක්ක ජනාධිපතිවරයා යටතේ නැත්නම් ඔබතුමා යටතේ යම්කිසි අධිකාරියක් පිළිහිටවගෙන මේක ප්‍රායෝගික විධායක කාර්යභාරයක් ඉටු කරන්න. නැත්නම් අර දෙන්නට පැවරුවාට මොකුත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මම කතා කරා අපේ චම්පික
I spoke with Minister Champika yesterday. We expect to take action by Friday because there is the dengue crisis.
ඩෙන්ගු ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන ඒ උඩ අද දැන් ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණ නියෝගයක් දීලා තියෙනවා මුතුරාජවලට කුණු දැමීම නතර කරන්න කියලා. කරදියානේ නඩු තීන්දුවක් තියෙනවා. මිනිස්සු උද්ඝෝෂණය කරන්න ගරුවා කැමැත්තොමනි කසල කලවනාකරන ව්‍යාපෘති වලට නෙමෙයි. මිනිස්සු උද්ඝෝෂණය කරන හැමතැනම තියෙන්නේ කරදියාන ඇතුළුව නිකම්ම ගෙනල්ලා කසල ගෙනල්ලා දානවා. මේ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවා.
These are essential services. I don't know how you can give court orders for essential services. I'm not saying that these court orders should not be given, but circumstances should be considered. There is a responsibility for the courts during a crisis such as this to call relevant officials and ask for reasons before giving any court order. It's a huge problem because the dengue crisis is there. If you start giving restraining orders like this, then there may be a rapid spread of epidemics.
මෙහෙම තහනම් නියෝග දෙන්න ගියොත් රටේ දෙඩ පැතිරෙනවා. තවත් මෙයා වැඩි වෙනවා.
Co-convener of the Cabinet, Minister Rajitha Senaratne, says that a decision will be taken regarding the Anti-Corruption Secretariat in the next Cabinet meeting. The Minister expressed these views at today's Cabinet media briefing.
Many people said that this anti-corruption secretariat is pointless. The Prime Minister also said he is not satisfied with this. The monthly expenditure alone is more than 12 million rupees. The Prime Minister inquired as to what they're doing. Then the President said a case has been filed against Minister Fauzi for using his vehicle which he used in his previous ministerial position. There is another case filed against Priyanka Rajaratne for appointing his daughter. Are those the expectations of the Secretariat? They have filed cases against approximately 76 parliamentarians, provincial council members and Pradesha Sabha members. But we established this to look into large-scale fraud and corruption.
Meanwhile, he also responded to questions on the unanimous decision made by the three Buddhist sectors dismissing the requirement for a new constitution.
Then the parliament must decide no new constitution for how long? The entire parliament now sits as a constituent assembly. Then the entire parliament has decided to appoint 6 committees. So 6 committees are drafting 6 reports. Those reports will be submitted to the parliament. If that is been finalized, then it will go to for a vote. So it should be to be passed with the 2/3 majority. The Supreme Court says that we should direct this to a referendum. We have to go for a referendum.
Minister of Sports Dasiri Jayasekara also spoke on his views on the matter.
We agreed to change the constitution with the support of every party in this country. We have discussed with two parties now as Sri Lanka Freedom Party. First meeting we held with the United National Party, and the second discussion we held with Tamil National Alliance. We have categorically said that Buddhism is not going to be changed, and the unitary state, we just don't want to change these.
Expressing his views on democratic decisions, Chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya says that the true meaning of democracy is exercising the stance of the majority without affecting the minority. He made this statement at an event held in Kotte today.
Let us imagine that we are debating about the issue of garbage and an MP tables a suggestion to solve the situation. The last two rows are for the MP's suggestion while the majority are in opposition. Therefore, we will now hold an election in a democratic manner to make a decision. Because the majority in Parliament are in opposition of the suggestion, the last two rows will be defeated and we will therefore approve the decision taken by the majority. Does this mean we discard the views of the minority without taking it into consideration? No, it is not the case.
We'll be back with more local stories after this short break. Do stay with us. Still in local news, Sri Lankan ambassador in Qatar, ASP Leonage, says that he expects the president to follow through with his promise to appoint him as a governor. He made these remarks making a special statement to media in Colombo today, adding that he was disappointed with the recent appointment of another to the vacated post of governor in the Eastern Province.
I don't mind being a governor in any province. This media briefing was not convened to put the president in a difficult position. There was speculation of me being appointed the governor of the Eastern Province. But someone else was appointed to the post and the public may harbour the wrong perception as to how it happened. The president told me to continue as the ambassador in Qatar. He also questioned me as to why I wanted to come back. I am a businessman and I like being in Sri Lanka since I have a lot of property and they are safer with me here. When I was offered this ambassadorial position, I implored the president to appoint me a governor. Then he explained that there were no vacancies at the moment, but as soon as one becomes vacant, I will be appointed.
18 Sri Lankan fishermen who had engaged in illegal fishing practices were arrested today by Sri Lanka Navy. The arrested had allegedly been using illegal fishing nets to make their daily catch in the areas between Point Norway and Elizabeth in Trincomalee. 3 dinghy boats along with other fishing gear were taken into custody of the Navy. We take a look at a few other stories making news across Sri Lanka in brief.
The Colombo High Court today imposed the death sentence on the individual accused and convicted for the murder of journalist Melissa Gunasekara in 2014. Delivering the verdict in a 3-year trial, Colombo High Court Judge Piyasena Ranasinghe today sentenced Anthony Ramson George to death after the state attorney had sought the maximum punishment as he had 2 prior convictions. Minister of Education Nakula Viraj Kadivasam stated that a majority of the dengue cases among children have been reported among those wearing shorts as part of their school uniform. He added that students in areas affected the most by the dengue epidemic will be required to dress in appropriate clothing, which includes long trousers for boys and clothing that will help cover up for girls.
In your business stories, international businessman, global investor and member of the Saudi Arabian royal family, Prince Al-Walid bin Abdullah Al-Aziz Al Saud expressed his interest in investing across several sectors in Sri Lanka, including tourism. Accompanied by a delegation, the Prince met with President Maithripala Sirisena at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday and assured that he will promote Sri Lanka as an investment destination. He also extended an invitation to President Sirisena to visit Saudi Arabia with a business delegation. President Maithripala Sirisena thanked Saudi Arabia and the government for development assistance provided over the years. And Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government has embarked on developing an export-led economy within the next 3 years in order to create new job opportunities, improve revenue generation and create rapid development that trickles down to the masses. Addressing an event at the Institute of Bankers, he added that money circulating within the country will be utilized to spur envisaged growth.
IBSL Towers, the newly built 12-storey building of Institute of Bankers of Sri Lanka, was declared open under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today. Delivering the keynote address, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized that existing finances will be utilized in creating an export economy.
Finance is something that has to be managed prudently by looking at long-term sustainability and its short-term profit. That is why the government is interested in keeping a financial safety net mechanism. It is the role of the state regulators to keep the system stable while individuals take care of themselves. This is the market mechanism we need to see in the financial sector of the economy. We need financial businesses and risk management capacity building in which the IBSL will have a new role to play. Open market economy has matured, creating enormous opportunities for development of our country and society. We are also proposing an international financial center, which will change the landscape of the financial system and the economy of Sri Lanka. This requires you to further modernize the education and training systems to fulfill the roles expected of you.
Also addressing the gathering, Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy explained the significance of a private sector-driven development strategy for Sri Lanka.
For us in Sri Lanka, if you look at our fiscal deficit and debt dynamics, clearly a state-driven development model is a non-starter. It's just not possible. We don't have the fiscal space to do it. So it's a purely pragmatic position to say that this has to be a private sector-driven development strategy for this country. And there are those who say at a time when the world economy is subdued, that international trade is sluggish, growth is subdued. So is it sensible to have an export-led strategy when you have some headwinds in the world economy? And in my view, the answer to that is whatever challenges that may exist in the world economy are trumped by some very special advantages Sri Lanka enjoys. We are 20 miles from the fastest growing large economy. We are right in the middle of China's maritime Silk Road. We have excellent international relations with everybody, including the capital surplus countries of East and Southeast Asia. The geopolitics of the Indian Ocean are playing to our advantage at the moment. So if you bring all these things together, there is a great opportunity that can be leveraged. On top of that, if you take the various trade agreements that are being negotiated, if we are successful, one could say in maybe 12 months' time that Sri Lanka would be unique in that it would have preferential access to a market of over 3 billion people. It's somewhat ironic that foreigners seem to have more confidence in our economy than our own private sector. There is foreign money coming into our stock market. There is some foreign money coming into the government securities market. Yet, we are not really seeing the animal spirits of the domestic private sector activated in the way it could be.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the controversial bond issuance was told today that had the direct placement method not been cancelled, the Employees Provident Fund would not have had to use Pan Asia Banking Corporation as an intermediary and could have avoided losses. Deputy General Manager of the Treasury Department and Pan Asia Banking Corporation, Aruna Benedict Dias, said this, testifying before the Commission of Inquiry.
The evidence was led by Deputy Solicitor General Milinda Gunathilaka, who drove the attention of the Commission towards certain transactions of Pan Asia Banking Corporation where they sold Treasury bonds to the Employees Provident Fund. Accordingly, he revealed that they bought Treasury bonds worth 3 billion rupees and sold them to the Employees Provident Fund for 5 billion rupees. When questioned as to why Pan Asia Banking Corporation engaged in these transactions, he revealed that the Employees Provident Fund had counterparty limits which led Pan Asia Bank to become the EPF's intermediary party. When Deputy Solicitor General Milinda Gunathilaka questioned Benedict Dias as to who initiated these transactions, he replied that it was Perpetual Treasuries Limited. He further revealed that it was Perpetual Treasuries Limited which dictated the price and amount of bids that should be placed at auctions, and it was following the confirmation of the Employees Provident Fund that transactions were settled. He also revealed that Employees Provident Fund had an investment committee which monitored the investments and that he was surprised at the fact the transactions had gone unnoticed for 2 years.
In international business news, Airbus has signed an agreement to sell 140 aircraft to China in a deal worth almost $23 billion at list prices. Airbus said the agreement, one of the biggest deals they have signed in a long time, is for 100 A320 family aircraft and 40 A350 planes. The deal was signed during Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Germany. Wall Street saw little change today as gains in technology stocks were overshadowed by steep losses in energy shares, while investors awaited minutes of the Federal Reserve's last meeting for more cues on interest rate hikes this year. U.S. factory goods orders are likely to drop 0.5% in May compared with a 0.2% decline in April. And in Colombo, market equities closed in red during today's session despite continuous foreign flows to premier blue chips. The SPI closed at 6,709, while the S&P SL20 index shed 13.47 to close at 3,907. Market turnover was 855 million rupees. Here's a look at the market update.
Top 5 gainers of the day were Udapusel Lava Plantation, Ceylon Leather Products, Taprobin Holdings, Tess Agro, Non-Voting and Muscalia Plantations. While the top 5 losers were Renuka Capital, Amana Takaful, Carson's Cumberbatch, Abbas Electricals and Tess Agro.
And your sports news will come up after this break. And in sports news, the tenure of the National Cricket Selection Committee headed by Sanat Jayasuriya was extended for a further 6 months. Sri Lanka Cricket confirmed last evening that the Sports Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara approved the selection committee's term extension till December 31st. And following the selectors' extensions last evening, they have decided to drop both Lahiru Madhushanka and Amila Aponso from Sri Lanka's ODI squad for the remaining 3 matches with Zimbabwe. Madhushanka, fast bowler all-rounder, failed to impress in the first ODI, whilst left-arm spinner Amila Aponso leaked 77 runs in 8.5 overs. We'll be back with your world news after this break. In your headline-making international story, U.S. officials late last evening confirmed that the missile test conducted by North Korea yesterday was in fact an intercontinental ballistic missile. In response to the launch, the U.S. and South Korea conducted joint missile drills off the coast of the southern peninsula earlier today.
The land-based missile flew for a distance of nearly 1,000 kilometers in 39 minutes while reaching an altitude of over 2,800 kilometers before landing in the Sea of Japan. In video provided by a local TV network run by South Korea's Defense Ministry, an Army tactical missile system and the Republic of Korea's Hyunmoo Missile-2 were seen being launched into the sky. Meanwhile, the United States Army said in a statement that the drills showed both the US and South Korea's military capability to engage the full array of time-critical targets under all weather conditions.
And Katharina Chang is at the Weather Centre with your forecast.
A very good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Now, most parts of the island may experience fair weather over the next 24 hours, while people residing in the Sabaragamu area may experience intermittent showers across several areas in the province. Now, the eastern province, however, may expect heavy showers over the course of the day. Meanwhile, fairly strong winds of about 50 km per hour can be expected in the southern province, particularly in the Hambantota district. It's now time to take a look at a city-by-city forecast for temperatures in key cities across the country.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of your Primetime News at 9. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with the visuals of one of the 4 picturesque cascades with the name Duli Ella. This mesmerizing waterfall, which attracts both local and foreign visitors, is located in the southern border of the Singharaja rainforest. We leave you with these visuals. Have a pleasant evening. Stay safe and good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.